Hello, and welcome to the first proper episode of my series of looking at games for the Famicom Disk System. The first game we're going to be looking at is a game called Nazo no Murasame, which was a 1986 game that came out exclusively for the Famicom Disk System. It translates roughly into the mysterious Murasame Castle. It's a nice little intro animation right there. Now, from the start menu, we're going to have three options, which are essentially name registration, name deletion, and name not needed. The third option is there basically if you don't want to record a name so that you don't really need to save a high score or anything. Also, bizarrely for a Famicom Disk System game, this game actually does not have any messages telling you that it's loading. So that black screen that you saw right there was basically just a loading screen. And here we have basically a disk flipping prompt. You can tell by seeing the letter B there that you need to flip to the B side of the disk. So, the gameplay for this game is actually fairly interesting. I accidentally pressed the wrong button and do my super move on accident. But essentially this game is basically Legend of Zelda if it played almost like a shooter. I have these two attacks, essentially. I have these shuriken, or knives, or whatever power-up you have, and a sword. The sword, as you can see there, can actually deflect projectiles, so this game actually has a very basic parrying system that only really works on projectiles. And I should mention certain projectiles. Eventually you'll find enemies that throw bombs and fire, and parrying those aren't exactly helpful. And right there, as you can see, that's actually a shogi piece, which makes me fire multiple projectiles. One thing I should mention is, since I had the fire pickup, I actually have limited ammo, as you can see by that counter up at the top of the screen. That white pickup I just picked up was actually a health restoring, which you can see my health by those three squares underneath my ammo counter. I didn't take any damage, so I didn't need it. As you can see there, you have 3 hits that you can take before losing a life. That weird windmill white power-up, that just makes your shots go further across the screen, and I believe a little bit faster. The red sandals pickup I just picked up made me move faster, as you can tell. And when you move through water, you have to swim. I prefer the fire, as it's shorter range, but it moves, or it can fly through enemy projectiles. So it's a bit more powerful of an attack, as you can just spam through enemy fire. And we're already done with level 1. Levels in this game... Okay, actually, a little time warp there. I seem to have gone past in time. So this little bonus stage at the end of every level lets you earn up to 2 extra lives and 5 extra shots. Now, there are 5 worlds sort of in this game, with worlds being divided into a going to a castle and the actual castle level. Right now we have actually reached Samejo. Now, the 5 castles in this game all seem to be following a color pattern. This one in particularly, Samejo, you can see these maidens actually that you rescue actually can be random in terms of what you get. Most of the time there'll be an actual princess there that gives you an extra life if you rescue her, or it could be a demon who is very hard to kill. And I actually kind of avoid the little princesses because I don't want to deal with killing them, because it takes so much ammo to kill, and they follow you from room to room. Now, as I was saying, every castle has a color theme. This one obviously being blue, and since it is Samejo, LE being the color blue in Japan, or in Japanese. Now, we are actually almost already at the boss of this level. As you can see, most bosses in this game kind of follow a similar pattern, where there's just a guy standing there who spams some sort of bomb projectile, the projectiles usually get more, I guess, extravagant as you move further in the game, which wouldn't be surprising. The bombs are actually really annoying. This is why I really would have wanted to have fire right here, as my fire probably should have passed straight through those projectiles. You can actually run up and sword him if you get close enough, but that's really dangerous to do, and I really don't recommend doing it. And also, I usually don't get killed quite so much fighting him. Now, probably at the end of the first level isn't exactly the quickest time for me to mention that this game does have some sort of a plot, but it does. Essentially, you are playing as the samurai Takumaru. This game takes place in the Tokugawa shogunate era of Japan, or the Edo period, depending on what you want to call it. Takumaru actually, as you can see there, you can actually kill the boss and die at the same time, and thankfully he stays dead. But anyway, Takumaru has gained a little bit more notoriety as he appeared as a assist trophy in the most recent Smash game, and the music from this game actually appeared as music for certain stages. So this game actually has been getting a little bit more recognition. It even had a attraction in the Wii U tech demo game Nintendo Land. The blue sandals I just picked up actually serve a really nice purpose. They let you walk on water, as you can see there. Now, aside from, we have some new enemies in this level. As you can see, the Tengu there shoots tornadoes and kind of warps around the screen. As you saw earlier, there were ninjas that were blinking. Now, they are very annoying because they do one thing when you hit them. They explode. Which means that if you try and sword them, you're going to get hurt. And it's not very nice. Also, as you can see, levels now have sort of a branching pattern to them. So it's not always just a straightforward path to the exit of the level. So not only do you have to deal with ever harder enemies, you now actually have to deal with what direction do I need to go. Also, if you haven't noticed already, the theme for this castle, or these levels for this castle, is the color red, with Akai being the color red in Japanese. Also, one nice thing about the blinking ninjas, if you kill one, make them explode, in a screen that has those standing bombs there, it'll actually make the bombs go off without you having to manually trigger them, which means that, or kind of defusing them, is a little bit more safer. Also, this area here would be a nightmare if I did not have the walk-on water shoes. Also, one thing about the little windmill shuriken that I am currently using that I'm not particularly a fan of, the fire seems to actually make your shots do a little bit more damage, so it would have only taken 2 shots if I had the fire compared to the 4 of this thing. It does move quite a bit faster, so you do get that benefit. The shogi piece I picked up, I believe a shogi, if you were not aware of, is a essentially Japanese chess. And each of those pieces, I believe there's one for each of the corresponding shogi pieces, and each one of them makes your shots move differently. The one that I got made my shots move in a kind of a cross pattern, but unfortunately I don't get to use it very much. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned yet is you do have or at least we've mentioned it in passing, you do have a sort of super move, the one that I originally started with, and the one you start the game with, and pardon a little time warping, makes you go invisible, which means you're basically invincible as well, and you just run around slashing your sword, but it's very limited. The Thunderbolt that I just got acts as essentially a screen clearing thing. These guys are rather annoying. As you can see, their Naginata will block your attacks. As you can see, I used the Mega Crush there. I probably didn't need to, but I didn't really feel like dealing with that guy. Also, if I didn't mention it last level, those kind of sword guys that are standing there, you have to get just the right distance for them in order to raise their sword, for them to raise their sword and let you attack them. You obviously don't want to get too close, or else they'll hit you with their sword. Actually, they do a little funny dance whenever you get hit by them. It's maybe not so much a dance, they just move up and down the screen. It's actually kind of amusing. I don't know why this screen is guarded quite so heavily, but I don't know. There's probably something hidden there, but I just didn't really feel like dealing with finding it. Also, as you saw in that room, certain enemies, there will be screens where there are invisible ninjas, and I do believe that those invisible ninjas can be exploding ninjas, which that's kind of the main danger of the invisible ninjas. Not so much that you can't see them, because obviously you can see their shadow. You just have no idea what kind of ninja they're going to be. So they could be a fire throwing one, or just a normal shuriken throwing one. Now, I haven't mentioned it, probably because you can probably observe it if you're actually listening to this. This game actually has a fairly decent soundtrack, which should not be surprising considering that this game soundtrack was actually composed by Koji Kondo, who, if you are not aware of the name, is the person who did the soundtracks for Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda. The soundtrack makes a fairly good use of the Famicom Disk System sound chip, and gives it a kind of nice Japanese instrument feel with them. You can kind of almost hear very kind of, I don't want to say so much ethnic instruments, but you can definitely tell that there's a Japanese influence in the music. And it's actually very fitting for the setting that this game takes place in. As you can see, this boss is fairly similar to the first level boss in that there's only really two differences. One, he'll occasionally go invisible. The second being that now he'll spawn a ninja whenever a bomb explodes. And thanks to the fire power-up, I was able to defeat him much quicker. Now, this is the point in the game in which I usually start to have trouble. On my actual copy of this game, I have not been able to actually beat this level. And a bit of a spoiler, I was actually very surprised I was actually able to beat this level in this recording. I probably shouldn't say how the rest of my recording goes, but that's beside the point. Really like this nice snow-covered forest feel that this level has. But it's kind of a shame that this level is kind of associated with just being pretty hard. This game is actually very hard in the 4th and 5th levels of this game. I definitely had to use an emulator the first time I played this, well, other than the fact that being a Famicom Disk System game, I didn't import it, that's the only way I could play it. But besides that, you're probably going to want to use save states your first time playing through this, or at least be wary that this game does get pretty hard later on. Although, I should mention that if you do own a Nintendo 3DS, I believe, I know it's in the American shop, but I'm not entirely certain if it's in the European shop. It's probably in the Japanese shop because, you know, being a Japanese game and all, it's not that exotic. But yes, you can actually get this on the Nintendo 3DS. It's not too terribly bad to play it on the 3DS. I mean, your screen's a little small, so the enemy shots might be a little hard to see, but I thought it was fairly easy to play on, and it's not too terribly... shots don't get too terribly small. That being said, the game isn't translated at all, because I'm pretty sure it's not translated at all. So, as long as you know like what the three options are in the little intro file select screen, you should be fairly okay to play the game. I should mention that's actually one interesting use of the lightning bolt power is you can actually, if you cast it, any hidden item box that was in the room will actually appear, so you don't have to constantly walk around the room hoping to uncover it. It'll just automatically pop up. As you can see there, the not only does the invisibility power, but also the lightning bolt power does have a limited amount of uses. I believe it's either 3 or 4, but you can't just go around spamming it all the time, or else you'll lose it like I did. Now, it was kind of hard to tell from the last level, but as you can see from this green castle and the green kind of village from the last level, the theme of this castle is green. Now, this is kind of a limitation of my knowledge of Japanese. I'm pretty sure the Japanese word for green is Midori, but when I looked up Ryoku, yeah, I did find reference to Midori. I believe it might be the kanji used, but I'm not entirely certain, so I can't exactly tell why exactly it's Ryoku-same, Joe, but, well, that's what it is, so I can't really argue with them about that. Also, I should mention, even though you've probably seen it just from the way that I'm playing, these ninjas are very annoying to deal with, as their fire, actually I think will block your fire if you have the firepower, but they're just really annoying to deal with because you gotta line up your shot in between the two fireballs, and it's really hard to hit them. I don't really recommend going up and rushing them and just trying to sword them to death, but I mean, you might be able to do that. I certainly am not brave enough to try that. This actually shows one really nice way to deal with the Naginata guys, as kind of hiding behind something as your knives go through most scenery in the level, so you can kind of safely kind of swing at them without being in danger of getting hit by the Naginata. Now that I'm on my last knife, I really could use a princess room, and I have to go for it, but as you can see, here's the demon. Notice how many shots that I am going to put into this guy, and he is not going down. He is pretty relentless with going for you. You can see I'm putting quite a few number of shots into him, and he's just not going down. I do believe you do get a pretty hefty point bonus. I'm not entirely certain if points can actually get you 1-ups, but they don't seem like it can, and maybe just score is just kind of like a bragging rights thing, but yeah, I really wish you would get an extra life after dealing with him, because he just takes way too many hits. Uh-oh, I'm down to my last hit, and nope, I'm dead. It's game over. Gaming over isn't a huge loss, as it puts you at the start of whatever level you're on, or at least sub-level, so the castle or the intro level, it doesn't take you all the way back to the beginning. But yeah, it's not that big a deal to actually game over. I mean, you do have to start the whatever sub-level you're on over, but you don't have to go all the way to the beginning of the world, I guess. And one nice little thing is it'll show your name if you're the top scorer, or at least with the top save. That's kind of the file, or the save slots kind of serve two purposes. One, as you're going to see here, it stores your score, but also it does save your progress. And it saves your progress like in terms of where you'd start if you got a game over. So as you can see here, I start from the castle area. So that's a pretty good look at Nazo no Murasame Show. It's a pretty fun game, and I recommend you look into it. Thank you for watching. I hope you tune in again for another video. Take care.